Sunday, the end of the week. Week 5 is over. Let's recap the games in the NBA. Michael Bolton.
Thanks, Josh. It's Michael Bolton here, and it's time for another episode of the Locked On Fantasy Basketball Podcast. Let's get to it.
Let's get to it, indeed.
You are Locked On Fantasy, your daily NBA fantasy podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hello and welcome to the Locked On Fantasy Basketball Podcast, brought to you by Basketball Monster. My name is Josh Lloyd and I've got 2 tickets to Iron Maiden, baby. I'm also the lead fantasy analyst at basketballmonster.com, and you can find me on Blue Sky at joshloyd.bsky.social, on Twitter at redrock_Beeble, on TikTok at redrock_Beeble, and on Instagram at Locked On Fantasy Basketball. Today's episode is brought to you by Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use the code LOCKEDONNBA for $20 off your first purchase. Also, go ahead and head across to lockedondaily.com to subscribe to a newsletter about your favorite team. Double bang as well. Operation 90K. We're getting there. We'll get there soon. Hit the thumbs up, subscribe, leave your comments, and double bang, watching the video and listening to the audio. Let's just get into it. Sunday's games, there were 6 of them on. We will start just with a little bit of news to catch you up on that did occur after the preview show, which dropped earlier today. We do have the update on Demetrius Morant. He is returning, allegedly. Well, he's upgraded to questionable, and the Grizzlies have had a pretty certain pattern with this, with doubtful one game, questionable the next game, playing. Or doubtful into questionable into playing. So we're at the playing start. Morant, if he's not playing Monday, he'll be playing this week. Marcus Smart also off the injury report, so he is ready to go as well. So we're going to get a really good look at things on that team. There's still no Vince, obviously, who got re-injured and out for weeks, and no Zach Edey, but a lot of the perimeter guys are back now. Same with New Orleans. These guys are returning. Still no Herb Jones yet, but Jordan Hawkins is back. CJ McCollum is questionable, so we're expecting that he plays in this one. And DeJounte Murray has been upgraded to doubtful, so he won't play on Monday, but he will play coming up. So we're going to get, again, what do we do with BJ? What do we do with Alfred Payton? What do you do with... I know that you do the other guys, Javonte Green. They can jack those guys pretty comfortably. But the return of CJ, the return of DeJounte probably this week as well is going to change a lot of stuff there. Concerningly, the Thunder have not played since Wednesday. Alex Caruso played in that game, left early, aggravating a hip injury, and he's not available on Monday. He's out again. So that's a massive concern. Right? I thought that there was a chance that... He looked pretty good in that game, finally. I thought that he'd be available to play, but that's a long absence. No games, no nothing, still not available. Yeah, you do not want to be holding Caruso, I don't think. And then we got an update on Ousmane Dieng, who's fractured a finger, reevaluated in 3 to 4 weeks. That just means those reserve minutes are going to go to Dylan Jones until Pig Williams is able to return. Then we got the updates in Portland. Of course we did. Donovan Clingan last game went to the locker room and with a knee issue, came back, finished out the game, and then, like I say, out of nowhere, but we sort of know what happened, but why did he come back into the game? Because he's now out with a knee sprain. Now, I have literally no idea what kind of a knee sprain. MCL, PCL, ACL, grade 1, worse than that, 1 game thing. I've got no idea. But what I do know is that DeAndre Ayton is doubtful and Donovan Clingan is out. 8 remaining doubtful. So we are going to get a lot of Rock DJ. And if you're in a deeper league, Twop Reef is going to have to be the guy with a little bit of Jabari Walker sprinkled in. But this is the time to grab Rob Williams. We are going to get a lot of Rob Williams here. And we hope there's nothing serious. I am putting out some feelers to see what I can find out about Clingan. Haven't heard anything yet. But when I do, I will let you know. But that's where we're at with that. And another sort of out of nowhere one is Karl Anthony Towns popped up with a questionable tag. I also thought Juice McBride wouldn't play for the Knicks, but he is questionable. And Towns is questionable. And remember, there is no center. There's no Achua, there's no Robinson. So if Towns is out, it's going to be Sims. But then the guy you're going to want to look at is Ariel Hakpori. I can't believe I'm using a Haktua joke in November 2024. Wow, there you go. Ariel Hakpori, who is much better than Jericho Sims and is the guy that you would consider. You wouldn't rush to do it, but you would consider. We talked about it in multiple shows already today, the Grant Williams ACL news. We knew that, and we've spoken about it at length. Should we just go into these games now? We probably should, yeah. We did a waiver wire show today, so we don't need to look at the trends there. Let's go the early game. It was the Minnesota Timberwolves and the Boston Celtics. The Wolves were still without Mike Conley, but instead of starting Nickeil Alexander-Walker, they decided that it would be in their best interests to go with Dante DiVincenzo. And honestly, like if you didn't know that he was starting, you just look at this game from DiVincenzo and go, yeah, it's the same shit as always. 11, 3 and 2 with 3 threes, a steal and a block. He did shoot 50%, but like what is he now? The 201st ranked player over the last 2 weeks? While Conley is out, you probably hold Dante, but it's been pretty rough. Speaking of rough, Naz Reid had 5 points in 26 minutes. Another really poor game from Reid. Like he is, again, I know I am biased, and bias is not the correct term. People love throwing around biased or hater or whatever. Just because an opinion is different, that I have a different opinion on a player does not make me biased or make me a hater. It just makes me have a different opinion, which I think is usually pretty objective. I just don't think Naz Reid is as good as people do. I think that's relatively straightforward, I believe. And at the moment, he is living down to my expectations. He can be better than this. Clearly, he's not as good as he was earlier in the season, and he's somewhere in the middle. I believe I still would hold on to Naz Reid in 12-team leagues, but I don't think he's some sort of savior in waiting or anything like that. Goose was pretty good here. Anthony Edwards, he played a lot of minutes, man. 9 minutes, 9 and 7 with 6 dribbles. The field goal efficiency is definitely not there, but his production's been pretty good. Not quite top 10 numbers that you were hoping if you picked him in the top 10, but otherwise pretty good. And Gobert had the old 10 and 20. You don't get many of those. It was a nice little scoring bump from Rob Dillingham as well. So if you're in a deeper format, Dillingham's going to get those minutes with Conley out. He had 14 points in the 16 minutes. And finally, we did get a stinker from Jaden McDaniels because, shockingly enough, he remains Jaden McDaniels. He had 10 points in 32 minutes. He had 2 threes with 31% shooting. I would still hold. He played 32 minutes. But of course, like if we get back to stinker McDaniels, then let's move on. That's okay. For now, I'm holding. Julius Randle, just brutal on the free throws. 23, 6 and 2 is okay, but yeah, some terrible free throw numbers there for the double royal himself. We'll go on to the Boston side of thing. I didn't even mention the score in this one, but the Celtics do win it. 107-105 is your final score. Al Horford returned, and that meant Neemias Queta came off the bench. In fact, that's a lie. It didn't mean Neemias Queta came off the bench. It means Neemias Queta sat on the bench and never left it. Because, what? I talked about this on one of the shows I think it was about Cater, saying, like, he's fine. We've got a nice little track record of 20 minutes a night, 20 minutes a night. But when guys are mid, like he is, like at any point, coaches can just say no. And Sneaky Joe Mazzulla said no. We didn't use him. And this was without Luke Cornett. We just got the cashier Xavier Tillman playing 14 minutes. Now, tomorrow, Al Horford's not going to play. I don't know if Cornett's going to play on the hamstring issue. So is it Cornett and Tillman, or is it Tillman and Cater? Is it? I don't know. So you're rolling one of those multi-sided die. Shout out to the dungeon masters out there. You're rolling one of those. It could be anything. It could be anything. Big minutes from Drew Holiday, 37 of them. Unfortunately, just 9 points. He did have a steal and a block with 4 rebounds, and he continues to struggle a bit, but we are still in category leagues holding him. And Derek White continues to be unbelievably good. 19, 9 and 5, 1 steal and 2 blocks. While Jaylen Brown was also very efficient. 29, 2 and 4 with 7 threes. 7 threes. I've had some stinking calls in my career doing this, like of guys that I think is going to be good. One of them is Campaign. I thought he was going to be really, really good. Obviously, he's not, right? Very clear. There's been Killian Hayes. I thought he might be a good player. Very much not. My 2 best ones, I think, are calling Derek White as being an unbelievably good player and a very, very high-level impact guy and a really good fantasy guy. So I nailed that one. The other one was Nikola Jokic, which, of course, in hindsight looks, it looks obvious, but yeah, he was. I was very big onto him. Basically, I'm not even sure if he'd played a game yet. Like that was one of the ones I was very, very big onto. But we get some wrong, we get some right. Jace Tatum had 26, 8 and 4 with 5 threes on 38%. We had big minutes from Horford. He didn't do a huge amount there. 8 points, 2 threes, 2 blocks. When Porzingis comes back, we might consider a drop of Horford, but for now, I do think that he's probably worth holding it in the vast majority of positions. Well, you can hold Al Horford in whatever position you like, but in your fantasy team, I'd probably also hold him there. We're all going to come back. Maybe you're not now. Maybe you don't like that joke. Maybe you will come back. Hopefully you do. We've got 5 more games to talk about and then some lines of the night to go through. But today's episode is brought to you by my underwear. And my underwear is brought to you by SKIMS. SKIMS Mens. I'm not wearing women's Skims. And if you wanted to do that, you know what? Absolutely knock yourself out. But now there is actually men's underwear available at SKIMS. SKIMS is the brand you've heard of for a long time. It's been around for a while now, and people swear by it. And I'm also swearing by the men's ones. There's so many different options, sizes, 3 inches, 5 inches. The cotton, the pure cotton The stretchy material, you know that one that you find, that material you sort of find on the inside of like running shorts, where you're sort of free balling but you're not. Well, that in actual underwear. You got the different colors, you got the cuts, the boxer briefs, the full boxer. So many different things to do. And now that Skims has got the men's range, you're never going to want to stop wearing these underwears. Undies. So go and shop SKIMS Mens at skims.com/lockdownNBA and let them know that we sent you. After you place your order, select podcast in the survey and select our show in the drop-down menu that follows. And if you're looking for the perfect gifts for the whole family, SKIMS has just launched their biggest holiday shop ever, also available at skims.com/LockedOnNBA. Okay, that is game 1 done, dusted, and in the books. Game 2, the Washington Wizards and the Indiana Pacers is the one that we're going to get stuck into now. And this was predictably a victory for the Pacers. They win it 115-103. We'll talk about the Wizards side of things. Jordan Poole was out in this one. We hope that he's going to be okay moving forward. Hip flexor soreness. You never like to hear about that because the hip thing can linger for a long time. With him out, though, staggeringly, they decided we're not going to put our lottery pick point guard into the lineup. No. We'll put our other first-round pick, which I don't mind playing Keyshawn George. But what happened to Bub? Why did Bub not start? Because he's got to prioritize Malcolm Brogdon, I guess. Let's start with George, who played 29 minutes and had 15, 5, and 5 with 2 threes, which is a bloody good line. The problem here is that I just don't know what's going to happen with Poole, and George was playing like 22 minutes a night before this absence, and that was unrosterable. There is going to be a period this season where George and Carrington are guys that we want to have. And if you look at George's numbers now, like he's barely a top 200 player in category league. So while this is good, and we know that it can be good, I don't think that we need to necessarily prioritize this. It was good to get a big game out of Bilal Coulibaly, who had 17, 6, and 4 with 1 steal and 2 blocks. But it was better to get a big game out of Alex Sarr. 31 minutes, 17, 14, 1 steal, 2 blocks. And while we're like, I don't know if we're going to hold him, it's 24 minutes, he's struggling with a shot. When he drops a big one like this, then you go, yeah, this is why. All right, so my original thing was, let's wait until Thanksgiving, let's see what happens. We're a week away from that. I don't think that Sarr is going to do this every game, but if he starts pushing 29 minutes every game, then we're feeling a lot better. As for Brogdon, 25 useless minutes for 15, 1 and 5. He shot poorly. Trade showcase. In case you're unaware, I'm taking the piss. Yeah. Brogdon is probably worth streaming in, but this is not a long-term solution. Now, speaking of long-term solutions, what's going on with Kyle Kuzma? Now, I know he's bad. He's not this bad, though. Has he just completely checked out? Why did this man get veto power over trade to Dallas and then not take it if he's going to act like this? 10, 1 and 1 with no defensive stats. He's a tough one because I think there's going to be some weirdness later in the year. But he's also way better than this. So maybe, if there are people considering dropping Kuzma, and I understand why they're doing that. If they did drop him, I would add him, and then you're at absolutely zero cost if he does get shut down. Carrington had 5 and 4. He had 2 steals and a block, which is fine, but that's just not enough. So it's very hard to hold on it and roster him there. While Corey Kispert, love when we can give 36 minutes to Corey Kispert. That is just one of the thrills in life. Kispert had, what did he do? 15 points, 3 threes, nothing else. He's just an incredibly, incredibly overrated player. I reckon Corey Kispert, but you know what? That is just me. On the Pacers side of things, they actually rolled with the same lineup, and let's start with Tyrese Halliburton. We're at home. He didn't have to travel. He's in his own bed. He had 21, 4 and 9 with 2 steals and 5 threes. So is it true? Is it the road games that is screwing up his back? And when he's at home, he's fine? Is there a smaller proportion of white women in Indianapolis, so therefore he's not as distracted at night? I don't know. I'm not sure of the 18 to 27-year-old. I'll put his cut at 27. 18 to 27-year-old female demographic of Indianapolis. I've got no idea. So I can't really judge that. But something's going on. It's probably more the bed and the plane and that sort of stuff. But he's undeniably better at home. He still didn't shoot well, though, 39% from Halliburton. But that's a good sign. And they're on a little bit of a homestand here. Siakam, I cannot find, and this is... it's not really fair, and this is part of why we gave the nickname the Thick Hogsman to Tobias Harris, because it was just back when I did that 2-3 years ago. It's yeah, okay, Toby, this is boring, man. He's doing the same thing every day. And Siakam's way better than Harris, but every game, it's just okay, fine. Sick, thanks, mate. It's the same thing every game. 22, 6 and 6, like good percentages, like you're continuing to be like good. That's it. And I probably won't talk about him for the next 3 months now, Siakam, because it's the same stuff. Turner only played the 30 minutes in this one. He'd been playing a lot more of late. He didn't have foul troubles because the guy at the backing him up was doing all right. We'll talk about him in a second. Miles Turner had 10 and 10 with 2 steals at a block. Actually, let's just do it now. How about the C-parter, Moses Brown? It was engraved into a tablet that he was going to have a big game, and there you go, 15 and 4 in 12 minutes with a block. And do you do anything with it? Of course you don't. Who wants a player who's bad, like Moses Brown, who's a 12-minute and I backup center just because he had a 15-point game? Now, that's undeniably good. It's an undeniably good game. And we remember it just in case something happens and Turner's out that Brown could do this. But, the theme of the 24-25 season, game logs. Enrique Freeman played over him last game. Quentin Jackson got another start, 22 minutes. And remember, I talked about this on one of the shows, but Ben Shepherd is out. Now, Ben Shepherd strained his oblique, and when it happened, I went, okay, that's a week at least, multiple weeks probably here. And they said, no, next game questionable. Okay, cool, thanks for lying. Then he was ruled out. And the next game he was questionable. I don't really believe this. And then he was ruled out. Like, okay, then he was ruled out for the next game. And now it's like, actually, it's going to be multiple weeks. Like, yes, thank you, Ricardo. We know that. But why would you tell us something different? Thank you to you're getting that super advantage of Ben Shepherd's mystery and subterfuge. Well, anyway, so he's out. So's Neesmith. So's Nembhard. So Quentin Jackson, for those of you in, I don't know, some certain types of leagues, some might say the double Onyx, Platinum, Diamond, Titanium leagues, you want to pay a little bit of attention to Quentin Jackson. Quick update. Is Quentin Jackson available on ESPN? I don't play a league on ESPN, so I don't actually know. But I know that he wasn't there. And you know what? We do have to, at some point, cut them a break. Like, it's only his second season in the NBA, so, like, yeah. At some point, I guess they'll get around to it. It's only his third start anyway. Second year, third start. I'm sure we'll get there. That's a deep league one. The dildo Johnny Furphy had 5 points in 11 minutes. Hurt his ankle late in the game. Doubt he plays tomorrow. What else do we need to talk about? Benny Mathurin, 39 minutes for the big fella. 16, 6 and 4 on some poor shooting, but he continues to have a really strong go at things. And Timothy John had 12, 3 and 3. That's McConnell for those of you who are uninitiated. With Shepherd out, he's the guy that I add. I add him over Jarris Walker and obviously over Quentin Jackson. As for Jarris, he's doing his best Draymond Greens. 3, 5 and 4 with 3 steals. So the scoring, dreadful. Field goal percentage, terrible. Can't shoot at all. But points, some assists, not points, some rebounds, some assists, some steals, some blocks. There's little bits and sprinkles from Jarris that at times are interesting, but obviously not always there. And there's a real hole, giggity, in that overall production. We should go on to the next game now. That would be probably ideal. It is the Clippers. They went to Philadelphia to take on the Philadelphia 76ers, and they smacked them. 125-99 is the final score. Still no Kawhi. No idea when he's coming back. One of my biggest regrets this season is drafting Kawhi at 57. I said I wouldn't draft him in the top 50, and it was like 50, maybe it was 58, and then he was there and I went, I'll do it. And it was in the Locked On Fantasy Basketball Bowl. And then when we got a second update, which confirmed my gut, I said I'm not doing it in the top 100. And yeah, I hate that pick that I made, and that team has got a lot of injuries on it, which is hurting, and the Kawhi one is just bad. I don't know when he's coming back. I would not make a single trade for him. I still get questions. Hey man, should I go and trade? Had someone ask today, should I trade Paul George for Kawhi? Like, no. No. Absolutely not. Do not trade for Kawhi. Do not trade for Embiid. I wouldn't do it under any circumstance. I'm petrified of it. I'm a little scaredy cat. Jimmy Harden, only the 27 minutes. Remember this. When we're looking at this game, unbelievably easy for the Clippers. Minutes dropped down, but some big performances because it was too easy. 23, 3 and 8 for Jim. Well, Derek Jones had 18 points on 70%. He had 3 steals. Jonesy is hovering around that 12-team stream zone. While Zubats had 16 and 12 in his 25 minutes, and Dunn was fine, 9, 3 and 1, 2 steals. You can use Dunn. You don't have to use Dunn. You get the steals, sometimes the assists, but I thought he'd be like more locked in at 26 or 27, but not quite there. He's sort of under that. It was a very prototypical or stereotypical. I'm not sure. Any linguists out there that want to tell me which one of those is correct? Game from Kevin Porter. He puts up okay counting stats, 11, 5, and 6. That's all right. And he shoots 46 from the field on 11 attempts and goes 1 of 2 from the line. Doesn't hit a 3, and he's just one of the worst players to watch in the NBA. I just can't stand him. Can't stand watching him, and he's like fine for a fantasy team under certain circumstances. We got 2 blocks out of Mo Bamba and Diamond Onyx Platinum Titanium legend Jordan Miller. 7 points, 23 minutes, 4 rebounds, 111. I didn't love Miller as a college evaluation. An older player with sort of a weird 3-point shot. But he has been, ever since Summer League, absolutely cooking. And I wanted to see real rotation minutes from him this season. Unfortunately, they brought in guys like Porter and Dunn and that eliminated that. But if I'm in Dynasty Leagues, I think that this guy can... All right, I don't want to go too far here, but if I'm going to say I'll say a player. Can you guess who I'm going to say? I'll say a player that was very unheralded and then came in and had multiple top 45 fantasy seasons, after a few years of being a nobody. And that player is Chris Middleton. I don't think that he's necessarily going to be... Being as good, Chris Middleton turned into an unbelievably good player. An all-star player, and obviously now his body's rooted. But Jordan Miller, there's something that I'm seeing at the moment from him. It's going to be hard on this team, but I don't know. In a dynasty format, I'm very intrigued. And for you double Onyx legends, there's enough there while Storm and Norman Powell is out. Terrence Mann remains useless, although we had 13 on 83%, but I'm not really sure I care that much. And Amir Coffey had one big game, and then we are back to nothing. And that is the story of Amir Coffey. You're streaming for points and threes, and you don't feel any level of reliance on it. The Sixers ran the same lineup again with no Drummond, no George, no Embiid, but we did have Gershon Yabusele starting again. 27 minutes for him, 6 and 6, while Drummond had 6 and 5 in 14 minutes. And they are leaning way more into Yabusele than Drummond because Andre Drummond is washed. Happens to the best of us. I'm sure this is going to be the case because I remember this has always been a thing with Drummond that when you go look at him, you go, man, he's only 26. I bet he's like 30. And it feels like he's 39. Let me have a look. How actually old is on it? He's one of those weird ones where you just go, there's no way. How is bro so young? And as I wait for the screen to load to tell me, what is he? He's going to be 30, yeah? I swear to God, this guy's been washed for 5 years. Andre Drummond, 31. There you go. So actually older than my underguess. Andre Drummond, washed, done, cooked. Let's talk about Tyrese Maxey. We have got a binder full worth of evidence that without Embiid, the man is horribly inefficient. Last season, big drop. This season, can't do anything. He's been I would say, sizable disappointment. 17, 4 and 4 in 30 minutes on 39%. Now, of course, those guys could return and he could be totally fine when that happens. But it's not a great feeling to have a player that requires Embiid to be there when one of the things I did with Embiid in drafts this season is avoided him at all costs. So yeah, it's not good. And we actually got a bad Jared McCain game. Now, I don't want anybody to misconstrue what I'm going to say. Jared McCain has been very good, doing stuff that you don't really think a rookie's going to do. But one of the things that we talked about with Jared McCain, and I know that when people are rolling, you don't want to hear it, and I understand that. But outside of scoring with McCain, there's not a lot else that happens. Now, he was scoring at ridiculous rates. And even this game, he had 18 points. But he shot 20%. He somehow took 12 free throws. He had 18, 0 and 4 with no defensive stats and 2 threes on bad shooting. And the volume's there with no George, no Embiid. It's great. He is going to start. He is going to be good. But remember, much like with Connect, that there are these... they don't have the well-rounded games. It requires huge minutes, big volume, very much above average shooting to get there. And that's not even to say that McCain can't get there. But that's what it requires. And that's always a somewhat iffy proposition. Kelly Oubre, not going to lie. I don't like his game, but this is a good game. 12, 5 and 3, 2 steals, 2 blocks. The problem is they have 2 games this week and only one of them is on a low volume day. So they play on Wednesday, 14 games. That's their first game of the week. And then it's not until Saturday. I would not bother at all adding Kelly Oubre. And Caleb Martin just stunk. 3 points, 13 minutes. They went to KJ Martin, who had 4 points in 26. A lot of Eric Gordon, a lot of Reggie Jackson, and this team is in pretty gigantic trouble. You're not in trouble because we're going to come back and talk about the rest of the games just in a second. But first of all, today's episode is brought to you by FanDuel Sportsbook. Get ready to tackle all of the NFL action with FanDuel, America's #1 sportsbook. Right now, new customers can bet $5 and you get $150 in bonus bets if you win. The FanDuel Sportsbook app gives you everything that you need to place live bets on the NFL all in one place. So in the middle of the game, you get a hunch. You can check out the latest stats. You can view the live play-by-play. You can check out all of that stuff in the same place you place your live NFL bets. So go to FanDuel.com today. Get the $150 in bonus bets when you win your first $5 bet. And never waste a hunch and make every moment more with FanDuel, an official sportsbook partner of the NFL. And don't forget to gamble responsibly. Today's episode is also brought to you by Game Time. More specifically, the new feature at Game Time Picks. Game Time Picks helps cut out the fluff. It removes all of the excess wasted time by searching through tickets. It shows you the good deals. What is a good price for this ticket at this event at this point? That's what you do. And we're all about saving time and money, and so is Game Time. So they don't make you run around and guess. Is this actually a good seat? Like, you can view the view from your seat on Game Time, obviously, so you know what it's going to look like. But in terms of price and value for money, Game Time Picks shows you the good options that are there immediately. That's only one of the many features they've got, the lowest price guarantee, meaning if you find the same ticket in the same row somewhere else at a different site, they'll give you 110% credit on the difference between the prices. You've got the best industry flexible customer service policy right around. It's everything is there to make your life easier when buying tickets. So take the guesswork out of buying tickets with Game Time Picks. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use the code LOCKEDONNBA for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, create the account, redeem the code LOCKEDONNBA for $20 off. Download Game Time today. What time is it? Game time. All right, that is 3 games done. We've got 3 more to go, so we'll get into those straight away now. The 4th game of the day was the Dallas Mavericks and the Miami Heat. This one went to overtime. The Mavericks still without Luka Doncic, running out the same lineup. But last time, Daniel Gafford started the second half and Derek Lively did not. In this game, it was all Lively. 31 minutes, 14 and 13 with 2 blocks on 78, sorry. Now that's awesome. We like Lively a lot. Well, I was going to say we like him a lot on this channel, but this channel is me. I like Lively a lot. Whether you do or not, that's totally your own business. And I'm not going to put myself into your own thoughts and minds and heads to think about that. That's your decision. I like him a lot. And if he got 30 a night, he'd cook the top 70. Easy. But he doesn't. This is great. This is nice. I want to see more of it. And it's on the right track. Dan Gafford, even in 21 minutes, he does enough. 10 and 8 with 3 blocks on elite percentages. Kyrie, unfortunately, was not able to keep the percentages going. 27, 4, and 6. And Klay Thompson also shot poorly. But this is a solid game from Klay. The problem here is this is an overtime game. Klay played 31 minutes, had 15 and 6. He did have 2 blocks. He hit 3 threes. Is this like best case for Klay? Like, it feels like it. I would not rush to add him at all. Not at all. Quentin Grimes showed that there are going to be fluctuations in his production. He's been rebounding well. He had 4 points and 7 boards. He's totally okay as a streamer, but that's about it. And same with Najee Marshall, who had 20 points, which is great. Awesome stuff. No steals, no blocks, and bad free throws. But that's a really good game from Najee. And he's probably the guy, I would say, over Grimes that I'm looking at as a Doncic replacement. What's also going on with PJ Washington? Now, at some point, the man's going to go for 2 points on 1 of 34 shooting. He had 21 and 10 with 2 steals, and it has really correlated to no Doncic. And then PJ not only gets a bump in usage, but then can't miss shots. Now, the can't miss shots part has got nothing to do with Luka. It is just fortuitous timing. So just don't be fooled. Well, PJ is obviously cooking because Luka is out. And part of that is true. But he could also be, he's one of those players that if he gets more volume, he can actually just be a much worse player because he just misses more shots. And I do fear that game's coming. He's a clear must-roster player, don't get me wrong. But I fear. I know what's going on with Jason Kidd. Why? Well, I do know he is a questionable coach at times. Oh, they made the West NBA Finals. Yep, they did. He played 28 minutes of Spencer Dinwiddie here for 7 points. Now, Dinwiddie had 7 assists and 2 steals. He also shot 8 at single digits, 8% from the field. Dinwiddie's been washed for 3 years. Why was he out there? Why was Kidd playing him? Sometimes he makes, he has improved a lot as a coach. Sometimes he makes decisions where you go, what are you doing? What's going on here? So I wouldn't go and rush to add Dinwiddie. This game is clearly not an endorsement of how good he is. But Kidd is going to kid, man. He's going to kid. The Heat. Let's talk about them. My Miami Heat with a big win. James Butler. 38 minutes, 33, 9, and 6. 1 steal, 2 blocks. Unbelievable field goal percentage, 65%. Unbelievably bad free throws. What's going on with this bloke's free throws this season? I believe he's attempted 31 free throws over the last 2 games. He was He was 16 attempts here, and he made, let me just quickly check, 11. That's 69%. It's a lot of volume, man. But I would also be very interested. I'd be very interested in selling high on Jimmy, because there's going to be somebody who's like, Jimmy the grind mentality. It's contract year, Jimmy. We're here. We're back. We're ready to go. Because his last 2 games have been great. Like, he's a top 10 player just on those 2 games. But of course, right, that's not realistic. And yeah, I don't. Part of the reason why I faded Jimmy is A, he's old, but also like injuries and health and that sort of stuff. This is a great run. Love it. I'd always just like try and test the temperature on it. Bam Bam hit 3 threes. Adebayo 19 and 11. Good game from him, but his field goals continue to just absolutely suck. And you wouldn't know it. You wouldn't believe it. But Tyler Hero's shooting has cooled off. Now, his volume is still there. 18, 10, and 5 is not bad. But 32% on 25 attempts. He was rolling as like a top 10 player. He is not rolling at that level anymore. And the shooting was always due to cool off, and it has. What is interesting about this game is that with no Terry Rozier, whose foot is still a problem after sitting the whole week, I don't know about that. Rozier is definitely like hurtling, not even moving, not even crawling. He's hurtling towards being a drop. I'd probably hold now just barely. But Duncan Robinson started and played 18 minutes. Okay, so that must mean Jaime Jaquez did something. No, not really. Jaquez was bad again, 7 points in 19 minutes, and I think it's very clear with Jaquez.
Get that garbage out of here!
Also, it could have been Josh Richardson, I guess. Nope, DNP. Well, it wasn't him. Okay, so maybe Little Chungus got extra minutes. No, 6 minutes for Chungus with 0 points. So who was it? Well, of course it was Josh. It was 37 minutes for Pele Larson. He had 14 and 5 with a steal and 75% shooting. What about Alec Burks playing 31 minutes? 15, 2 and 3 with 4 threes, a steal and a block. And it's very easy to go, well, okay, Rozier's out. Maybe we grab Larson. Maybe we grab Burks. But again, let's do it. Let's play the game. Let's play the game logs. It's impossible. Burks, Larson, Richardson, Jaquez, Jovic, Robinson. Haywood Highsmith had a sore tummy in this game. Drew Smith started the game the other day. There's too many guys that are in and out. They're trying to peg down which one of them is going to be the player that you want. It's almost impossible. So, like, congratulations if you tried Pele Larson or Alec Burks in today's game, because, that's like, what's that? That's some sort of like Back to the Future Great Scott moment. Because how did you know that? Because you don't. It could be Duncan Robinson for 30 minutes next game. We've seen this with Spo. As much as I love Spo as a coach, there are so many players on this team who are going to just be all over the shop. All over the shop in terms of minutes, and it's impossible to trust. Kevin Love, look, you might be, again, tempted. 9-11, 3-3, steal and a block. That's unbelievable from Kevin Love. What if he plays more minutes? I don't think he can. I don't think he can play more minutes. They are good numbers. They're streamable in deeper leagues, but I don't think that his body at this point in his career actually has the ability to play more. To play more. Yeah, it's really good. The numbers are fantastic. I don't think we're going to get more than that. Let's go to the 5th game of the day. It's my Toronto Raptors taking on the Cleveland Cavaliers. The Cavs win at 122-108. The Raptors did run the same starting lineup, but they changed it up at halftime. So Abaji got benched and Davion Mitchell started the second half. So let's just talk about those two players who had some stream value while players were out. Abaji, 27 minutes, 9 points. I was very happy to jack him before this. The thing that I just watch out for is that Grade A Dick left the game early with a calf issue. So that would open up some stuff. So Mitchell didn't really blow us away, 6-1-3. And I think you're going to feel okay about dropping either Mitchell or Abaji. You'll be fine. Rowan Barrett, again, we talked about this on a show the other day where you can make the easy assumption that, well, Scotty Barnes is back. That's going to make Barrett's life easier. Therefore, his field goal percentage will go up. And honestly, we hear that sort of thing discussed all the time. I've never seen any evidence, apart from the fact that Maxi's drops when Embiid plays. It just is not a thing. As a general rule, do not ascribe that theory to why someone's shooting is up or down. Because Barrett had 16 points on 33%, went 2 of 6 from the line in a very typical RJ Barrett game. As for Barnesy, 18, 7 and 7, 3 steals and a block on horrific field goals and horrific free throws. Last season, Barnes was the guy that I just was very skeptical about. Came out of the blocks shooting like 43% from 3, bumped a 15% bump on his free throws and doubled his block rate and 25% on his rebounds, and I got it really wrong. But towards the second half of the season, a lot of his shooting numbers did start to drop back down. And so far this season, they haven't actually returned. So he was going in the first round for some people, and it has been a very poor start for Barnes. So we have to be a little bit concerned, I think, with Barnes about the shooting numbers here. Jakob Poeltl continues to be great. Now, his shooting was terrible as well in this one, but 12 and 18 with 2 blocks. And Chris Boucher just doing some nice little things. 14 minutes is not enough to care, but he had 10 and 3. But let's just talk John Mobo. Now, Mobo had a little flash early in the season, sort of disappeared. This was a good game with no Quickly, no Olynyk, and no Brown. And Brown could be back as early as next game. But Mobo was great. 13 and 7, triple one. And I do firmly believe that in March, he is going to be a 12-team, consistent, fantasy-relevant player. I wouldn't overreact to this game here. What else going on this game? I think that's about it for the Toronto side of things, at least. So then we could talk about the Cleveland side of things. And they did have to make some changes to their lineup, but in a good way, because they got Darius Garland back and Isaac Okoro returned. That meant that Milk and Jalen Tyson moved to the bench. Let's start with Milk, because what? 28 minutes with Ty Jerome. 26 points, 5 assists, 4 threes, 4 steals, 64%, 100% from the line. Now, I know that I keep saying that I don't think he can continue to be this level of shooter because it just seems impossible. Because I'll read you the numbers. Ty Jerome is shooting 60% from the field. Mind you, he's he's a point guard. Remember that. He's shooting 54% on threes. He's shooting 63% on twos. Now, Ty Jerome could be a 41% three-point guy very easily. But he's still doing stuff that there's just no way it holds. He's also somehow at 2.4 steals per 36 minutes. He's giving you 7 assists in that time as well. His usage is 22%, which is just way higher than the last season he played, which was Golden State, where he had a 15 usage. So there's just so much here that is very weird about Jerome. Very weird. But he continues to do it. He just won't miss. I don't think that we add him in 12s, but honestly, last 2 weeks he's a top 70 player. Shooting 58%, averaging 16, 2.5, and 4.5. But it's all on the back of that insane shooting number, which could easily fall by 15 percentage points. Easily. And when it does, then he's completely useless. But it's been unbelievably good. Don Mitchell was 26, 4, and 1, which is fine. He's been a little bit disappointing as well. And Evan Mobley and Jarrett Allen, 14, 11, and 4 is not great for Mobley, but it's fine. Allen had 21 and 13, which is fine as well. And Garland sprained his ankle really early. He didn't miss any time. He played through it, but 31 minutes, 16, 3, and 6 with 4 threes. It's better than the last time we saw him play, which was that horrendous game against Boston. But it's still, not quite where he was in those first couple of games. Jalen Tyson, just 7 minutes. Craig Porter, just 6 minutes. All those guys, their playing time well down because players returned, which, again, is just completely understandable. And we got the good game out of those players when everybody sat, and that's it. And cool. We just, we move. We will come back and talk about the last game, but I did, I told you I was going to look into this, and I did get the news on it now about Donovan Clingan's knee. Now, again, you can choose to listen or believe or whatever you want. I choose to believe because, why wouldn't you believe? The We Believe Joshies. It's not super serious, Donovan Clingan's knee sprain. I've been told 1 to 2 weeks. I don't know any specifics on it, but 1 to 2 weeks. So we are very clearly adding Robert Williams. Must roster player. A big man like Donovan Clingan, who has a knee injury, that could take a little bit of time to get back, and then conditioning can be a problem. Williams can get hurt at any point, and Ayton's still dealing with a finger bruise. But yeah, go out there and add Rob Williams everywhere you can. Because 1 to 2 weeks is what I've been told on Donovan Clingan. Sorry to just drop this in randomly here. This is just when I found out. So yeah, 1 to 2 weeks, Donovan Clingan is what I've heard. All right, let's go and do the final game of the night now. Brooklyn and Sacramento. The Nets have to make 2 changes to their lineup. Dorian Finney-Smith is out, so Nick Claxton starts, and Dennis Schroeder is out, and that meant that Zaire Williams started. So Dorian Finney-Smith is going to be out tomorrow as well. Ben Simmons is going to be out tomorrow as well. We don't know about where Dennis Schroeder sits, and then we'll talk about some other things that happened during the game here as they get the win on the road against the I don't know, incredibly disappointing Sacramento Kings, 108-103, the final score. Do you think Sacramento's been bad this year? I think they've been... Actually, you know what? Have they been disappointing? I don't know. I didn't pick them to make the playoffs, so maybe I'm not that disappointed by them. Cam Thomas had been a little bit of a lean run from old Tomo. He had 34, 2 and 6 with 4 triples and shot 50%, which is awesome. Not so great from the line, but there is something to monitor because late in the game, he had a hard fall in his back. Remember, he missed a game with a back problem last week. So just watch that because they play tomorrow. The other guy that absolutely cooked here, finally, about time, my guy, Noah Clowney. 18 points, 22 minutes, 5 threes, steal block. I still maintain that there is an absolute fantasy beast just waiting to be scraped from under the surface. I think it's going to happen at some point later this season, and we've got the signs here. And then, of course, in the final quarter, he sprained his ankle. He's almost definitely not going to play tomorrow, and we can just shelve that plan. Solid game from Cam Thomas. Not Thomas, Johnson. They get a different Cam. 16, 6 and 4 with 3 threes. He continues to be unbelievably good. If you can get any top 70 player back in a trade, you do it without any hesitation, I think. And then Ben Simmons with 27 minutes is encouraging from Benny. He had 4, 3 and 5, a steal and a block. I'm going to talk Nick Claxton. We'll get to that in a sec. Zaire Williams, 6 points is really bad in 22%, and Jalen Wilson played a lot, but he was also bad, 7, 4, and 2. But tomorrow you're going to have no Finney Smith, you're going to have no Bogdanovic, no Sharp, no Simmons, no Clowney, maybe no Thomas, maybe no Schroeder. So I would be very interested to see Trendon Watford, Zaire Williams, Shake Milton, who had 10, 2, and 3 here. Some interesting things. Now, the question's going to be, a lot of you have asked, have hopped already, hey, do we drop Nick Claxton? No, you don't. It's been a very, very annoying season. They just paid him that 4 years, what it was, $100 million contract. I'm not really sure why they did or anything like that. And he's had these back problems. And yeah, look, 4 points is obviously horrid, right? It's bad. But he had 7 rebounds. He had 3 assists. He had 1 steal. He had 2 blocks. You'd like a little bit more volume on that. You'd like a few more minutes. He's 122nd in points leagues. Not ideal, but it's still a very clear 12-team guy. He is, 150th in category leagues, and that's like not even talking -1 because his free throws are terrible. It's bad, obviously. It has not been anywhere close to what you wanted, and I think I had him in the 70 zone. That's about where he was going. It's a massive buy low. It's a massive buy low, but it feels like it's going to take a little bit of time to get there, but I would not consider dropping Claxton, although I am a little worried that there's going to be, a Larry Markkinen and Jeremy Grant-esque Ides of March that does hit him and the rest of this team. So a third Ides of March has hit the tower. Let's go on to the next game. Well, not like next game, the next side of this game, which is those disappointing Sacramento Kings. They did not make any change to their lineup. Did they play everyone a million minutes? Of course they did. Darren Fox was really good again. Apart from the free throws, this guy's... I cannot understand this guy as a player, ever. 31, 1 rebound, 5 assists and 2 steals, and then he'll shot 63 from the field. Then he'll have games where he shoots 1,000,000% from 3, or seasons where he goes unbelievable from the rim, and now he can't hit free throws. There is nothing consistent about this man. But you know what? Like, everything always tends to add up. 14th ranked player in points leagues. But the assists are down, the free throws are down. It's all over the shop. So bonus, 13, 18, and 7. Pretty good. Pretty good numbers. DeMar DeRozan, I'd say probably not as good. 18, 5 and 5, 39 from the field, 4 of 6 from the line. Now, I want you guys to take a seat for a second. I want you to just, brace yourself for this, because I'm pretty sure you're not ready for this conversation. Okay? And this is only an embryo of an idea. An embryo of it. It's not really, I've been thinking about it for a long time. But at some point, do we need to, like 3 years ago, but do we need to have a dialogue right now that DeMar DeRozan makes your team not be able to be good? And I want you to sit on that for a second, get your outrage out, scream it at the window, scream it at the screen, but let me tell you why. I'm not saying DeMar DeRozan's a bad player. He's a really, really good player. He can put up numbers with the best of them, with his unbelievable mid-range shooting things and clutch performances and all that sort of stuff. He does that all the time. The problem with DeMar DeRozan, to me, as a person who lives and breathes this sport and league and has done for 10 plus years as a full-time worker in this league, right, is that DeMar DeRozan's numbers, individually, great, look awesome. But everything that you need to do around DeMar DeRozan, every player needs to fit a specific thing that they do to cover him defensively, to push a guy that's shooting guard size to play power forward, which is him, to find the right spacing and players around him and have the ball in his hands and all these things. It makes a team worse. There is a reason that through DeMar DeRozan's career, teams have been better with him on the bench like 85% of the seasons that he's played. And this is not an exact one-to-one, but if you let Russell Westbrook go and play 36 minutes a night, I'm telling you, he put up really good numbers. He put up fantastic. The stats, he'd have some iffy shooting numbers, but the counting stats would be fantastic. Look at Russ, look what he can still do. But it's everything else around that needs to fit that does contribute to strong and good teams. Again, it's not fully fledged. It's a small idea. But there is a lot of evidence behind it. And part of our concern, or my concern, and others' concern, maybe not yours, that's okay, with DeRozan joining this Kings team was A, how do they shoot with Sabonis and DeRozan out there? B, how do they defend? And does it make sense to limit Keegan Murray's role and take the ball out of Fox's and Sabonis' hands in order, it's great to get the best free agent ever in Kings history, which is DeRozan. But is their team worse? Again, think about it for a second. No one is saying, you could make arguments. You'd be wrong, but you could make arguments that DeRozan is the best player in this team. He's not. It's Fox or Sabonis very clearly. But he's a very specific style of player that you need to make all these accommodations for. And when you do that, for so many times in history, it makes a team worse. Kevin Huerter had 11 points in his 32 minutes. He had 2 blocks, and he is only a stream guy. But they play tomorrow, so hold. Well, Keegan Murray, good to get a good game from Keegan. 36 minutes, 21 and 8, triple one. Still can't hit his threes at any sort of... He was 40% as a rookie, 37 last season. He's about 30 this season. He's better than that. I don't think he's quite the elite shooter that maybe he was made out to be. But that's a very good game from Keegan, who I do believe remains a 12-team guy. Just I don't think there's any of that top 70 value that some may have ascribed to him. And then Keon Ellis had 9 points with 3 threes, and he played 23 minutes. But there's not enough for him to do to be a 12-team league guy. Again, if you've got him, you hold and you wait for tomorrow. One of the Joneses, Colby. There's 3 Joneses on this team. Mason and Isaac, the other 2. Colby Jones this time played 17 minutes. It's a lot of Colby Jones. But that's what we got with Malik Monk out, who Malik Monk was questionable. So that's not true. He was, and I don't know if I've ever seen this. Malik Monk was doubtful. He got upgraded to questionable, and then about 5 minutes later got ruled out. Why did he get upgraded? What the hell was that? Maybe Monk is back tomorrow, and we'll see if that changes a lot of stuff. But DeRozan's additions also muted what Monk can do. So yeah, I don't know. That's the games. Let's give out some awards. I think that would be a good thing to do. At this point, let's do it. We'll start with the monstrous line of the night. The monstrous line of the night. It's unbelievably, it's milk. 26, 3 and 6, 4 steals and a block for Ty Jerome. 4 of 8 from 3-point land. He's also, of course, the waiver wire line of the night. Why wouldn't he be? The man just continues to not miss shots ever. The young gun of the night, the best first or second year player. It was close. Alex Sarr narrowly missed it in the end. We do go with Derek Lively, who had 14 and 13 with 2 blocks. And then, lastly, the dud of the night. And it is the clown prince of Washington, D.C., Kyle Kuzma. 10, 1 and 1 for Kuzma to round out your awards of the day. Let's go through now and take a quick little squiz at our top 6 performers, starting with our top 6 in category leagues. Number 1, of course, is the man that won the monstrous line of the night narrowly. He's only just edging out Jimmy Butler. It was Ty Jerome. Butler comes in second, followed by Anthony Edwards, Jaylen Brown, Jim Harden, and Derek White. Your waiver wire top 6. Now, I did change again the cutoffs for this. 40% Yahoo is what I used. Ty Jerome's at 1. Yeah, look, again, stream in there's no way it holds, but it has. But there's no way, but it has. Derek Jones is a stream sort of guy. Kelly Oubre would be marginally interesting as a stream guy, but 2 games and a 14-game day, I'm not doing it. Noah Clowney, he was great. now he's hurt. Isaac Okoro, also not interested in Alec Burks. Well, we just got no idea what Miami's going to do we? Those rotations are a little bit all over the place. So not really a huge amount actionable with those top 6 players. Your top 6 Yahoo Points League players of the day: Jim Butler, Ty Jerome, Scott Barnes, Jarrett Allen, and Jason Tatum, followed by Anthony Edwards at number 6. Not sure why I left him off there. And then your top 6 ESPN Points League players: Jerome, Butler, Jaylen Brown, Jarrett Allen, Derek White, and De'Aaron Foxy Fox. Let's have a little bit of a look at the injuries that did occur. Grady Dick hurt his calf. If he does have to miss Abaji and Davion Mitchell are going to get that bump. Deeper leagues, you look at Jamal. Wait, where did that go? That video just disappeared really quickly. I'm going to put that back up on the screen. I don't know why that just died so fast. All right, that's fine. That's annoying. That's okay. We'll figure it out. Growing pains. There we go. Get it to stay. Grady Dick, out. Noah Clowney, if he is out, and I expect he's going to be out, then you look at Doc Simmons is going to be out. So Trenton Watford is a very interesting target there. And then when he comes back, Dayron Sharp will be the guy. And then Indiana, John Furphy hurt his ankle. That's probably not going to impact anybody, but Quentin Jackson will be an option. And then if Cam Thomas does happen to miss tomorrow, you've got Jalen Wilson, who will almost definitely start, and I would go with him. And then Zaire Williams would be the second one after that. All right, so that is all of that action across the day for Sunday in the NBA. So let's kind of have a look at how my leagues went. I'm scared to look at them, to be honest. So as always, we'll start with, I think I forgot to do this last week. We'll look at industry pickup, and we'll see how this is the industry pickup auction draft after a really rough start for me in this league. I'm starting to get back on track now. A 6-3 victory over Angle Fantasy Basketball, so very happy to get that victory in the books. The other auction draft that you saw me do in the preseason is this one. The league is called the Immaculate Pivot. It's a deeper league. It's 12 teams, but 15-man rosters. I got cooked in that one, 7-2. I think I was at a huge, 10 game play disadvantage. There's no game cap in that league, so that killed me. That obviously killed me. And my FBI World Cup team is horrendous. Let's take a look at how that one looks at the moment. A 7-2 loss. I think I won that last week, but not great there. Then Kingy's got this league, this roto and head-to-head mishmash league, which I am on top of. And I had, what you do is you play every opponent in the league every week. So I had a 5-4, a 7-2, a 6-3, a 3-6, a 7-2, a 4-5, an 8-1, a 4-5, and a 5-4. And I'm pretty sure in that league I am, miles on top of that one. Not miles, I'm 2 games ahead of Dan Titus in that one. So that one's going well. We'll do the Roto leagues in a sec. Let's have a look at the Locked On Fantasy Basketball Bowl category league. I had I lost 4-5 and a 3-6 in that one. In the points league, I know I got absolutely melted in the points league. Just shocking performance. I couldn't get enough games played. Everyone just got hurt, and my streaming just did not work out. I lost both those. That's really rough. And let's have a look at the Roto standings. And remember, in Roto, when we're looking at standings for leagues, is that I always, in a Roto league, I'm always going to play it slow. I'm always going to be well behind, and I think that'll be the case. I'm always going to be well behind in talking about, where'd that go? Where'd my league go? I'm always going to be well behind in the overall standings because I don't stream in to get games up early. So I'm in the Pine division in the Roto, Locked On Fantasy Basketball Roto. I'm in 8th spot, which is totally okay because I am at 158 games played only. I'm 20 games behind the guy that's in 7th. I am 50 games behind the person in 4th. I am 30 games behind the guy in 2nd. I am totally good with that. And I'll be good, and I'll come good in that one in the end. And then we go to the Draft and Stash League. We'll see where I am in that one, which is one where you set the lineup twice a week. I'm in the middle of the pack there, 6th in that one. Games played on that one is about right. My field goal percentage is rough there. I need to see if I can work my way up there, but that's a pretty competitive Roto league. So overall, not a great week, but the teams that are good in my industry pickup league and my Roto head-to-head trial league went pretty well, and my other ones are in real strife, and they're going to take some work to get back. And maybe I can't do it. These leagues are all hyper-competitive, diamond, double, onyx, platinum, diamond level leagues, and we'll see how we go. All right, so you know what to do. You hit the thumb, you subscribe, you double bang, and remember, as we end week 5 in the NBA, we get ready for week 6. Did you get a victory? If so, congratulate yourself. So you know what? I did well. I managed my team well. If you didn't, that's okay. Look at what you did well. Did you make a good pickup? Did you do something good at work? Did you do something good at school? Did you have a nice interaction with one of your friends? Positive vibes, man. Positive vibes. You did something good. And someone, including me, is proud of you. Guys, we are done here. Thank you so much for listening, everyone. See ya.